Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to
What had happened was,
we
yeah,
gotta
yeah, yeah, yeah,
we gotta get the timing down. What him was? How's
yeah.
it going?
It's going good. It's going good. My girl Jessica Penny is finally fighting again. She's fighting next weekend, so I'm really stoked about that. Had a little barbecue yesterday. Yeah, things are going
Nice.
good. How about you?
It's good. It's good. Well, we didn't even introduce ourselves yet, Angela. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves. I'm Karyn Bryant, and I'm here with Angela Hill, who obviously had a barbecue today and is really feeling good.
I'm full of meat.
Hey now. She reminds
Yeah.
me. Actually, no. So, no. I just got back from Vegas. I was working last night for UFC Vegas 22. So I literally just flew in, and it was some bogus pricing with the lifts and the Ubers. I ended up taking an old school cab home from LAX because it was like there. I don't know, the surge pricing or whatever. And I'm looking and I'm like $80, like the what the. So I agreed to one that said like 50 something, and
Every
it was ridiculous. So I don't know. Anyway, I made it home, but anyway, it was expensive. But I'm home. I'm here now, so we're good to go.
that makes you like really value people picking you up from the airport, right?
Totally.
Whenever you have to like get a cab home, you're just
Totally.
like, I need more friends.
Need better friends. Well, that's the thing. So, okay. So here's the thing. Derek Brunson was victorious last night in the main event. We want to talk about some of the fights on that card. My question to you, we were talking to him. He got to come to us after the fight. There were so many things in that fight to kind of dissect. But obviously the biggest story is Kevin spoke through the whole thing, right? So Kevin talked his way through the whole fight. Yeah, and I want to know what your take is on that whole thing.
Look, I've always envied fighters who can do that. Fighters who can just live in the moment. And that's what I feel like he's doing. I
Yeah.
don't think that he's particularly unfocused. I think he's taking the gifts that God gave him, and one thing is just having verbal diarrhea, you know. And he's taking the gifts that God gave him and he's using those things to his advantage. So maybe he has ADD. Maybe he has like some type of issue where he can't shut up. He just has to talk. He has to talk through the entire fight, whether it's a stressful fight, whether he's coasting. Like, he has to talk. He has to speak. When he was fighting Santos, it was probably the most trouble that he had given, that anyone had given Santos. But he was talking the entire time. When he fought Jacare, literally him talking about his dream of fighting Jacare is the thing that set up the knockout punch. So, like, I can't be mad at him. I can't criticize him too much for doing this because this is the thing that has gotten them. It's one of the things that have gotten them this far. And he's obviously very talented. And it's easy to pick apart something that seems kind of like a what do you call it? It's like something a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's easy to pick apart something that seems like a gimmick when the person loses. If he had won, then everyone would be all on his nutsack, like, man, he's talking, I love it. I'm gonna talk next time I spar somebody or next time I get in a street fight. I'm gonna be like, hey, I had a dream, boom, So
Yeah.
I think Kevin Holland is doing his thing. I think in the Brunson fight, it's more of a question of like what things he needs to go back and work on, because in the fight, I don't think he did less than what he could have, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, a lot of people are criticizing him for talking and not focusing, but I feel like he did what he could with that fight. And when he goes back and works on things in the gym, like, he's gonna work on takedown offense. He's going to work on getting back up to his feet. He's going to work on the things that he could have done in this fight in order to beat Brunson, but he's just not there yet. And Brunson has upsetted a lot of new prospects. So like, I really get sad when people, I don't know, just downplay what a newcomer has done when they finally lose to somebody who has been doing it
Yeah.
like for a long time, like a veteran like Brunson or somebody. It always makes me sad because like the newcomer is still doing the right things. He just hit a bump in the road.
Well, he hit the 7th ranked guy. Number 10, it was number 10, Kevin Holland versus number 7. So he hit the 7th ranked guy. Derek Brunson's been there for years. We were talking all about it on the show, how he's literally been in the UFC. He's been in the UFC since December 29th, I think it was, 2012 at UFC 155. Okay, so the dude has been in there forever. That was like his 13th win in the octagon. So that's, there are some losses in there. So he's had, I forget how many fights overall. He's now got the third most wins in the middleweight division. I did an after the facts video, Ange. So, yes. So you can hear about his record now, middleweight win streaks, and how many wins that he has. He's third just behind Israel, and it was Michael Bisping has the most wins and stuff. But anyway, in terms of the win streaks, it's Israel, and then it's Derek and Marvin Vettori with 4 each. So we definitely need to put some respect on his name. He has not gotten it, and he needs it. And partly it's because maybe he isn't great at social media, right? He's not the talkiest guy. He's not this guy. He's a guy that kind of seems to like to let the work do the talking for him, right? And so in these days, that's kind of unusual, and that person kind of falls behind or isn't in the front of our mind all the time. But when you look at how much work he's done consistently, the only people he's lost to are the biggest names in the UFC. So it is time for him to get some respect. I know he's looking for a top 5 guy. But to your point about Kevin too, I don't necessarily think, like the whole thing about the derailing hype trains, Derek's like, oh no, I love it. He got to do it with Shabazian, and he got to do it again. And, he kind of feels like, they see him as a gatekeeper. And so now he has a little bit of a chip of like, oh, I'm a gatekeeper. Oh, okay. We'll see.
Okay.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah. So for him, it gives him this motivation to set back the newcomers and to prove he's not a gatekeeper. And he's been at Sanford MMA now for 4 fights with Henry Hooft. So he is evolving, and he is turning into a different fighter, even though he's 37. He's still finding new things. And so, he's going to be dangerous. That's the whole thing. He is still kind of becoming even more of a dangerous guy. And so for Kevin, yes, it's a great way to lose. It's a main event. It's your first main event. You still kind of got a spotlight, and you were on ESPN, and yes, it wasn't the fight you wanted, but you could, I guess at the end of the day, you could also go, I just got out wrestled. You know what I mean? And kind of find some concession in that, I suppose. I too don't necessarily want Kevin to change who he is, because I agree. I think that the talking and that fun vibe is part of what got him to where he is. But I was kind of bugging out a little, if I'm honest. Like, I was watching it, and I was sitting there with Rashad, and I was like, I just need him to just shut the hell up for a second. And just felt like, because I think where I felt it was when he went to the corner. And it was like playing with the corner, and that's when I really felt it, like that kind of, they were like, okay, can we fight now? Like, that's where I felt it.
I think you'd be surprised how many people have people in their corner who are friends or family or teammates that aren't necessarily going to give you advice you care.
Well, we knew that. What's our whole point? There was like, there's no authority other than Kevin. Kevin's calling all the shots.
Like a lot of times, like, I like having people in the corner who will say, this is what's open. Do these things. You're going to hit her if you do these things. Hit this takedown, you're going to get the takedown if you hit this takedown. Like, I like having people like that in my corner. But some athletes like people in their corner who are just going to be there to give them water. Some athletes just like people who are going to rub their shoulders and be like, you're the man. Like, like hype them up. And I don't know. I feel like if Kevin Holland had a corner where he thought that they were going to give him like legitimate advice, he would have shut up and listened. So whatever was going through his head in between rounds, like, I'm thinking like he was just like, you know what? Your advice isn't going to help right now. Let me ask Khabib.
Well, right. Okay. But so then that's a couple questions then, Angela. Should he go to a place where he has a real coach? Because look what happened to Derek. He's improving now that he went down and got Henry Hooft and has a real coach, because Derek, same thing, Derek would win some, but he was kind of wild, and he didn't, you could tell that he didn't have a lot of guidance and stuff. And so when you see somebody with Kevin with such raw material and so much God-given talent, like you're saying, and there's the part of you that's like, well, if he just did this, he'd be amazing. But then you look at his post and he goes, I never said I wanted to be a champ. I said I wanted to be out here to have fun. And partly I was like, well, is that what you say after you lose? Because if you won, would you have said, I told you I'm going to be champ? Or, you know what I mean? I don't really know. Like I said, I like him, and I'm not trying to, I don't know what his real take is. If he is really here to just have fun and entertain, he does do that.
For sure. I mean, Dude, it's so hard to tell. Like, I don't think you would really be able to know unless he had a conversation, like sat down and had a conversation and was like, look, what are you really here for? Are you here to have fun, or do you think that you're the best in the world? Because there are, I think one thing that a lot of people would be surprised about is that there's a lot of fighters who are fighting that aren't necessarily trying to be champion. Like, a lot of people are just fighting because this is all they know. It's a good way to make money. They like putting on a show. They like entertaining, and that's fine. But I don't think people realize that. I think everyone thinks that like wins and losses are deal breakers, and they think that like you should be super humble when you lose, and you should be like grateful when you win. And like look at how Adesanya took his last loss.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not saying. He's not groveling. He's not going, oh, I'm gonna go back and fix things and blah blah blah. Like he's kind of like, hey, like, yeah, I lost, but it was a bigger guy,
right?
And I was trying to do something kind of crazy. Like I was trying to do something that would have been phenomenal if I had accomplished it. So like, don't think that I'm not still the greatest motherfucker on the planet. Like I'm still gonna be there. I just am not there yet. So I don't know. Like everyone approaches losses differently, and I think in Kevin Holland's case, he might be guarding. I don't know, like maybe the fear of not winning, that fear of like just like losing something that you care about by just making fun of it, just making everything a joke and approaching it that way. And personally, I've always wanted to approach fighting that way, like because it's a cool thing to just be able to go in there and be in the moment and just let yourself like be in that flow state and just do whatever comes to your mind. But at the same time, I don't know, it's hard for me to let go of that need to be the best version of myself. So it's hard for me to just be like, blah, I'm gonna do this, I think I'm gonna throw a punch, boom, I throw it, you know, because it's just like there's always that hesitance of okay, I'm gonna throw this punch, but is it the right punch to throw? You know what I mean? And I feel like Kevin Holland doesn't have that. He doesn't have that conscience in his head. He doesn't have that voice telling him, "Hey, don't say that."
Yeah.
Don't throw that. Don't jump for like this position. He doesn't have that in his head, so it can be a strength and a weakness at the same time. And I don't know. I feel like it's just the way that he's built.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I think, at the core of who he is, right? And it's that personality. But I think you're bringing up a lot of things. We're getting into the psychology, the id, the ego, and the super ego, and the whole bit about all of it. But I agree with you. And that's, I was, obviously when we're on the set, we have our conversations that we don't, necessarily share with the world. But that was a theme that I was kind of bringing up with Rashad, is that something where, you're masking, when you're losing or you're outmanned, do you just concede already and then make fun of the whole thing because you already know, like, I lost, like, I can't beat this guy or whatever. And so let me make the most of a bad situation, or let me, I don't know. There could have been a lot of things going on. But I think the unfair part of this, after having just said moments ago that we need to put respect on Derek's name, is that we're finding every reason that Kevin Holland gave the fight away instead of just saying Derek was better.
He was better. Like, there's nothing to say about it. If Kevin Holland didn't say shit the entire fight, he still would have lost that fight. You know, like that one knockdown, that one like punch that he landed that wobbled Derek. Like Derek still would have like gotten his composure back, gotten a takedown, like survived a round, and then done the same thing the next 3 rounds. Like they're like talking wouldn't have changed that. And that's something that I always say about talking shit. Like I always have like teammates be like, oh, should I say this about this girl, or should I call her out, or this and that? And they're like, I don't want to worry about the backlash later. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't worry about the backlash ever, because that's not gonna that's not gonna change the outcome of your fight. Like if you're talking shit or if you're being humble, none of that's gonna matter when you're in there locked in a cage hitting each other. Like none of that's gonna matter.
True.
What's gonna matter is the amount of like work you put in and the amount of like talent you have and this and that. How in shape you are. Like you talking shit isn't gonna change anything that happens in the fight. And a lot of people equate that because I don't know, we have this moral system in our head where we feel like the person who isn't being humble or the person who's being like mean or not like a true martial artist, that person deserves to lose.
Right.
So when they lose, you're like, yeah, you deserve that, and that really has nothing to do with it. All it has to do with is how how people perceive the win or the loss after the fact.
True.
So if you win, everyone's like, that's really cool. If you lose, everyone's like, you shouldn't have done that.
It's true. It's true. No, it's true. It's great while it works. If it doesn't work, then yeah. So I did mention yesterday on Twitter too, and I had asked Derek about it on set because it turns out that he has not lost since he dyed his hair blonde, and so we were like, okay, it was like kind of how people joke back about like red shorts Shogun don't give an F or whatever, like everybody has their little things.
Blonde Brunson.
Right, so we were saying Blonde Brunson for the win. So Blonde Brunson, he said, he's like, I'm gonna ride this thing out. But it was funny because I was talking to Rashad while we were watching it, and you could tell there were some parts on Derek's head that I was like, I think that might have got a little rough. And I said, Angie told me that her hair would get so brittle when it was bleached, and that after wrestling practice sometimes it would fall out. And so is that true? Like you would lose chunks?
So I went blonde for like one fight.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it was actually for Halloween. I was like, I'm gonna dress up as Storm.
We've all done it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Punk Storm. I'm gonna have like a cool like white afro and or white mohawk.
Yeah,
right.
I
dyed it blonde, like really light blonde, and it looked really cool for like maybe a couple months, but then it started getting really dry and it was almost like hay, like it was really bad. And so one training session, and I don't know when it happened, but one training session, I was in the cage, I was grappling with one of our teammates.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but
oh my god. And so I don't know if everyone knows this, but Velcro is like the arch nemesis of black hair.
Oh my! You could throw Velcro balls at my hair and they'll just stick, and I'll never get them out. I'll have to cut them out. Like it's a freaking nightmare. Velcro. No, it is. It will. Velcro is. You could literally hold me up with Velcro, and like you don't need a gun. Just put it near my hair and be like you.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of those like action movie scenes where they grab the person by the hair, only it's Velcro. But everything's Velcro when you're training, when you're sparring and everything. So I think one of my teammates had their Velcro out and they got me right in the middle of the head. And dude, I was like, do I have a circle? Like it literally looked like a hurricane. Wait, I pulled out the photo because
that sucks so bad.
And I was so sad. All right, let me see if you can
see. No, we can't. Oh, no. Hold it down a little. Pull it down a little. Wait, yeah. Oh, no.
I was so sad. I called it the hurricane. It was like a hurricane or like a fluffy donut. But it was so horrible. And I tried everything. I dyed it back black.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this will help. But it was still really brittle and sad. And that's when I cut it off. And everyone was like, oh, what a cool move. You're shaving your head off for your UFC debut. And I'm like, actually,
what happened was
I would have looked like an idiot walking in with this fucking donut hole in my head. So I had no choice. It was that or lace rent.
Yeah, well, if you notice, Derek keeps his kind of short. If you guys remember back in the day, Melvin Gillard used to dye his. Kevin Randleman used to dye his.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. My boy, Darian Caldwell.
Yes.
His died when I dyed mine. So I was like, I came like
nice.
Every now and then, Adam, my husband, would see like Darian from the back, and he'd be like, "Why isn't Angela wearing a shirt?" Oh,
yeah.
Darren almost got me in trouble a few times when I was blonde. But
Nice. That is funny. Well, congratulations to Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. Look at, he's 10th ranked, his first main event, and obviously a learning lesson from him. I mean, I did think it was funny, him asking Khabib for advice and stuff like that. I did think it was funny, but
super entertaining.
yeah.
And people shouldn't give him shit for being entertaining. Like that's what got him this far, and he's gonna keep being entertaining whether he wins or loses. And Brunson is a fucking G, man. Like I can't wait to see what he does next. If he gets that title shot, like he's on a tear right now. So really exciting stuff. Yeah,
he mentioned maybe wanting to fight Paulo Costa, which is a pretty cool idea. So yeah, that could be cool. That'd be cool. Okay, so the co-main event, there were so many things that got moved around in this card. The co-main event ended up being Max Griffin against Song Kanan. He got a really fast knockout. It got a bonus, which is great because he just had a baby and his wife, so which is really cool. But I want to ask you, Angela, about the fight between Cheyanne Buys and Montserrat Conejo. Okay, because Buys was supposed to be fighting somebody else, and Conejo came in as a short notice replacement. But the ironic thing is that Buys had actually been playing the role of Conejo because Buys' teammate was going to be fighting Conejo. So in theory, she should have been very familiar with her game. And I only say that as like a little bit of a background that there should have been a lot of familiarity about what was going to happen. And yet, for 3 rounds, Miss Buys was commanded on the canvas by the Mexican wrestling champion with lots of bulldog chokes and head and arm throws and all kinds of things. And I'm curious what your take is.
Well, I was watching this fight with a bunch of jiu-jitsu black belts.
Yeah.
At my cookout, and let me tell you, they were upset. They were just like, oh my God, like how is she getting this head and arm throw over and over again? Like there's so many things that she can be doing, and Buys just kind of conceded to the position. And I think whatever they did in preparation for this fight, she didn't work the defense to it. Like maybe she was doing it to her teammate. Maybe she was just doing it to her teammate, and her teammate was working the defense to the head and arm throw and not her actually working it. But there's a few different things that you can do there. And I know because I trained with a few people who are really good with it. And it's kind of unnerving. Like when you get caught there, you feel like you should be able to pop your head out real quick. You feel like you should be able to take the back. But if somebody's really good at just holding that headlock position and they've been doing it forever, sometimes you just get stuck. Like you just get stuck and you're worried. Like it looked like Buys was worried about her arm getting arm barred, and she's just holding her arm, but she's not really trying to get her head out.
Yeah.
And it was just a kind of a green moment, like 3 fights down the road, that will never happen to her. But the fact that it happened in this fight over and over again, like that's going to be the thing she works on a million times in the gym, so it never happens again. But like, she can't be too mad because she knew exactly what the girl was going to do, and she did it.
Yeah.
She just kind of fluffed that one. Like she had the preparation, she knew what she was dealing with, and she just didn't have the skill to get out of it in a fast manner so she can like get back on top. And it was there. Like you saw it in the first round where like Conejo like finally like kind of let go and tried to transition to a different position, like maybe side control, and Buys was like, whoa, finally my head's out, and she got on her back real quick. So you knew like the skills were there, but like she wasn't able to do it. Right. When Conejo would just hold there and just punch her in the face, like she couldn't get out of that. And it was a very frustrating fight to watch because I'm just like, come on, buck and roll, like roll her over, then like pop your head out or do something, get the hooks in, like she was just stuck.
Yeah, well, we kept saying, because Anthony Smith was working with us as well, and Anthony, we know, was one of the coaches, team captains on Quintet. Anthony loves to grapple. And so, we kept talking, and I'm like, here it comes again, right? We're like, here it comes again, and there it is again, and there it is again. Like, we just kept, and so that was the thing. As I kept talking to them, I was like, okay, is it a question of, is Conejo so great at this, or is it something that's more of a lacking on the defense? You know, because sometimes when that happens, same thing in the Kevin Holland, Derek Brunson thing, you wonder, is the offensive person really great at what they're doing, or is the defensive person just sort of outmatched and doesn't really know how to defend, or what, you know, what's going on there? But the interesting thing, even just with you displaying it, I'm just laughing because Rashad was like, she done breastfed that girl all night long. Like, the way, because there was almost a part where there was almost like a titty popping out. And if you notice at one point, they did switch camera angles because it was getting kind of close. Because also Montserrat was wearing this shorter outfit. And I was just like, baby girl, how about some... I feel like all of you should wear longer shorts. Like, I get really nervous with you guys out there in your little...
That's how we get the fans, Karyn.
I know.
The fans.
I know. I know. It's for the fans. And you do... You do a great job. I'm just saying, as your mom, Angela, I get nervous. And I don't want things exposed out there that you guys... You're fighting. You shouldn't be worrying about that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but the thing at the end, there's a little bit of controversy. We're not really sure what happened. Some people think Conejo spit on Cheyanne. It looked to us, we thought maybe did it look like she was sort of blowing her a kiss. But then Cheyanne got up. They got kind of feisty, and we were sort of, you know, kind of making fun of it a little bit, if I'm honest. But we're like, oh, now you're feisty? Like, you literally just had 15 minutes to try to beat her ass. But I don't know exactly what happened. I don't think she spit on her, but I'm not exactly sure. If she did spit on her, I don't think that's cool. But if it was a little smack talk or blowing a kiss, I think I might actually be okay with that, because I think there was a little bit of that before the fight.
Well, what happened was, according to a source of mine,
what happened
according
was,
to a source of mine, a friend of mine who
Yes.
trained with Conejo,
Okay.
she had been really upset about this matchup because Cheyanne was talking smack about her wrestling, and Conejo is really has been wrestling on her
she's a
life.
wrestling champion in Mexico like 7 times over.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah. So she took offense to that.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course she did. So she was really upset about that. And then after the fight, like, I think, like, Cheyanne has said something like, oh, all she has is this head and arm throw. And
It worked though, didn't it?
I almost feel like the reason the fight was there the entire time was to prove a point.
Yeah,
was
maybe.
to just be like, oh, that's all I got. All right, that's all I'm gonna give you then. That's all I'm gonna give you. Get out of it.
Yeah.
You know. So the last 15 seconds, Baez was talking smack, and we don't have it mic'd up.
Yeah.
But she was saying some shit, and then Conejo called her puta.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever called someone a puta when you had a mouth guard in, but it's pretty hard not to spit.
Okay.
It's pretty hard not to spit on it like that. You're like.
I love that you have firsthand information on this.
Yes, I have done that a few times. Usually with the guys, though. Like, I usually don't do that to my girlfriend teammates, but
right.
I'll be like, oh, fuck you, puta, you know. Chinga tu madre, you know, all that stuff.
Of course, you train with Dominic. Of course you're going to say that.
Yeah. Fuck that old man. Dominic gets it all day. So, yeah, it's really hard not to spit on someone with a mouth guard in when you're tired, when you're calling them a puta. So, sorry, Conejo, you're getting all this drama for spitting on the girl, because it was probably a little bit of both stories. Like, she probably did accidentally spit on her, but I think her
intention,
her intention was to just call her a pussy in Spanish. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how that goes.
I want to ask you something else about Baez, because she and her husband JP was the first fight of the night. So they are,
right?
Yeah, so they're a married couple. They competed on the same card. They're the second time that's happened. Before, Montana and Mark De La Rosa competed on the same card, and on that time Mark lost, but Montana won. So we were talking about all of this stuff, and we were like, I don't think, neither three of us working the desk thought it was a good idea. Anthony, Rashad, and I were all like, yeah, no. And just like the stuff where they were like, and we do everything together, and we train together, and we live together, and we fight together, and we this together, and we this together, and we were like, oh, isn't that cute? Like, we were like, we looked at our watches, we were like, how long is that gonna last, right? But anyway, they cornered each other as well, which I thought was going to be problematic. JP was the first fight. He got knocked out. And so he when you see, if you look back in the walkouts, he's walking out with Cheyanne. He's like, he's getting comforted literally on the walkout. Like he's all kind of sad. They get to the part where she's starting to get sort of patted down. He puts his head on I don't know if it was Saif or whatever. It puts his head on his shoulder, and he's like getting comfort. I'm like, that is not the energy that you want right before you go into fight. And I just was thinking, because I know obviously you and Adam train together a lot, and there is obviously something really, really powerful about having somebody that has your back like that at all times, and that trust. Like I'm not trying to belittle that. I think it's incredibly valuable. I just don't think it's a great idea for you to fight on the same card and walk each other out and stuff like that, because it's. If you love each other, how are you not concerned about the other one? You know what I mean? And then literally, this is messed up, but the guys were like, you know, a little part of him was happy she lost, because it would have been messed up. But I mean, listen, this is messed up, and if we're being 100% honest with, like, sometimes, you know, you people have some crappy feelings towards others, and that's but they were like, yo, he's psyched she's lost. Like, or not psyched is maybe not the right word, but if
psyched,
but if she had won,
like,
right.
relieved.
Right, and and we were also already, what could be a little strange is, you know, he was the first fight of the night. Obviously, he was not supposed to be the first fight. A different fight fell off. Yulia Solorenko, you know, had the weigh-in issues, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, he became the first fight of the night, and she was on the main card, and we were already wondering, like, hey, are there going to be issues? What if her star rises way faster than his? We know that you guys in Strawweight division is a marquee division for the women, whereas the flyweights for the guys is like the one that almost got dumped. So in a lot of ways, just right out the gate, she has much greater potential for stardom, you know? And like, is it going to be weird?
Yeah, it's a super hard position to be in. Like, I feel like me and Adam is a little different just because he's taken like the back seat.
Yeah.
With being a coach and being a cornerman and everything like that. Excuse me. But it's still really hard, you know? Like, I remember when we were both fighting, and yeah, it was hard to win and then or to lose and still root on your significant other, because you're still dealing with those emotions about losing, you know? Like, even when a teammate wins, I'm like super stoked, right? Like that's the best feeling in the world.
It totally
when a teammate wins. But if they lose and I'm about to fight, I'm almost like, well, at least I'm not the only one that lost, you know? Like,
yes. Yeah.
Like, it's really fucked up, but that's like where your brain goes.
Right.
So like, to have like a significant other fighting on the same card, like, that's so much nerves and emotion. Like, I'm the worst to deal with when Adam would fight. Like, when Adam fought, I was like ready to rip people's heads off. Like, anyone doing anything that looked like cheating, I was like ready to be like, yo, get behind the line. What are you doing? Don't corner him when they're like in neutral corners, you know? Like, I'm like saying all the rules in the rule book, like cussing them in the middle of it. Like,
I love it.
Fucking neutral corner, you know?
I love it.
I get so protective.
Right.
And, like, I can't imagine being protective and then shutting that off and being like a fighter in the same night. Like, it's a lot to deal with. So kudos to them for trying. But it's a learning experience. Like Adam couldn't corner me when I first got to the UFC. Like, it took him a while to be able to deal with the emotions of being responsible for a fighter that you care so much about.
Right.
Because like you have to shut off those two, like, there's two valves. Like, there's like husband valve and then there's coach valve. And when they like cross, it gets weird, you know? So you have to shut one off, you know? You have to like not care about me whining or needing to cuddle, or, you know, he's like, shut up. You know, you don't need to cuddle, fucking punch something, you bitch. You know? Like, he doesn't say that, but, you know, like, that's kind of the energy that you have to give that fighter. Like, you have to like remind them they're a monster, they're a machine, not necessarily like a love machine. If that makes sense.
I agree, and I even feel it just when like I count them as my teammates, right? The guys that I work with at the desk and stuff like that. So Anthony was working with us last night. He's got a fight coming up in April, so I'll be really stressed out. Like Tyron's got a fight coming up. Like whenever my guys fight, that's why I was so happy when Michael retired or when Dominic. Anytime I'm like like I was bugging out when Dominic was fighting. Felder's like on the bubble. He might not fight. So it's like, okay, cool. If you don't fight ever again, I'm totally fine with it. Because I get stressed out too. And we were talking about that, like even like you said, like with your teammates, bringing in that energy in the locker room. Maybe they have a shared locker room and you just lost. It's like, you take a walk, man. Like you need to not bring that energy into the locker room. So I also remember like Anthony and Sergio Pettis fought on the same card once, right? And it got kind of weird. And then Anthony was like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. You know what I mean? And that's his little brother and stuff. So I think they maybe ended up doing it once more again, but yeah, moving forward, I don't know if they'll do it again. I think they are both interesting talent, to have in the UFC now. They were both debuting as well. It was a lot to ask for them. Yeah. It was a lot. I mean, we could have been telling a different story, right? Yeah. Same thing if they both won, we would have been like, that was amazing. They both won, and but
exactly. But I do think that's a really hard thing to accomplish. Like just being there for your significant other and also fighting. Like that's so hard. Like I wouldn't recommend it. That's all I'll say. I wouldn't recommend it. I love fighting on the same card as a teammate, but as long as they're not my husband,
right.
Like that's when I'm stoked about it. If it's my man, then I'm not into the idea at all.
No, it seems scary. Well, I want to ask you if anything else stood out. I mean, I know I don't know what your take is on the Chiasson Reneau fight, or if anything else kind of jumped out at you from the night.
Well, we actually have a question.
Oh, okay.
From one of the fans. They were asking what we thought about the Chiasson Reneau fight and whether it went to the right winner. And I love Reneau, but honestly, I feel like it went to the right winner.
I think so. I think it went to the right winner as well. But I think the thing that sucks for Marion is that the fights that she's had, they've been so close and they haven't gone her way, but it's not like she got owned in any of them. She's incredibly tough. And technically, she sound like the guys were tripping out. There were a couple times where she kind of ducked under and sneaked and took the back. And they were like, that was so beautiful. Like there was so much that she was doing that was so good and right. On the flip side of that, though, I know Macy was really trying to show more composure. And she's so honest about her own growth path and how much she still needs to learn. And so she was trying to just be composed and show different control and sort of hit some personal milestones in that fight, which I think she did do. And overall, she's like very, she said, hey, listen, it's a really long road to Amanda. I'm not in a hurry to try to get there. You know what I mean? I'm going to take my time and try to learn as much as I can on the way and also protect my mental health and all kinds of things. So I do think that Macy won that fight. But I think it's unfortunate that Marion's record looks like how it does because it doesn't tell the real story of what a good fighter she is.
Yeah, and what is Marion's record right now? Do you know?
Well, she's I can tell you.
Just to throw it out.
She's the oldest fighter on the roster, not even just the oldest woman. She's the oldest fighter in general. Her record is 9-6. Well, now it's 9-7-1. She's 43 years old.
Okay, yeah. So Cooper.cc asked that question. And yeah, like I'm always impressed with Reneau every time she comes out. Like I always feel like man, I almost wanted to get like a couple new girls.
Just to beat up on them?
Just sign some new girls so we could see her like go crazy on them like we did like when she made her UFC debut. Right. So it always sucks because she's right there, she's right there right at the point where like she can beat a lot of people in the UFC in her weight class, but yeah, just I think it's a little bit of urgency. I think it's a little bit of luck as well. And yeah, Macy is just like a big, strong girl for bantamweight. Right. She's strong. She's learning how to use her strength better. Like every time she gets out there, and yeah, she's improving as well. So So yeah,
Well,
it's a tough one.
it is, and that's the thing, remember, she won the Ultimate Fighter at 45. You know what I mean? And then went down. And yeah, she is a tall girl, and you can tell that she has long arms and limbs, and she's learning how to really use that. And that's part of it. Is she wants to learn how to fight for her frame. And sometimes she's come out and she's been a little bit more explosive in the first rounds, and this time it seemed like she was taking a more methodical approach. So yeah, I think she has a lot of talent and a great future. It made us sad for Marion, because we're like, it sucks, and she put on such a good fight, and it really was close. But I do think that Macy won.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think the further that these girls go, like the more they fight, the more the rankings will kind of demonstrate that,
right?
Demonstrate the fact that they're both better fighters than what Reneau, I mean, is
right.
a better fighter than what her record shows, and yeah, it just sucks at the moment, but I feel like in the future, if she continues with it, like she'll still be right up there.
Yeah.
She'll still be. I feel like Reneau deserves to be like top 5 for sure.
But she's 43. I mean, I don't know how much longer she wants to fight.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like it all depends on how her body holds up. But she I don't know what she claims to be, but she don't crack.
She's Belizean, right? Because she's the Belizean bruiser, right? Yeah, from Belize. No, she's not cracking. Believe me, I'm not trying to retire her at all.
She's not cracking at all. She looks athletic. She looks like explosive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just hoping she sticks around long enough to get some respect on her.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not mad at her. Actually, while I was looking at another for another question, somebody just asked me what their name. What did they say? Their name is SS Kakarot on Instagram, asking the question just is, how much of a troll would Angie consider herself to be?
What? Me? Oh my goodness. I don't feel like I'm that much of a troll. I feel like I give out the energy that I get.
Okay.
So like if someone's giving out like negative energy, or they're trying to put me down, and I know that they don't deserve the right to put me down, I'll give them back that troll energy twofold.
Okay.
So I'm just a little more upfront about trolling people. Other people try to be like all like passive aggressive with it.
Right.
I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Like say what you mean. Say it with your chest, bitch. Like that's how I go. That's how I roll. I got it from my mom.
Nice. Well, that's good, and we love your mom. So those were my mom. She's so feisty. No, those were my major things from the night. I was looking to see if we have more questions, but also, there were some cool fights that were announced that are going to be coming up. But I don't know if you want to answer some more questions here. But obviously unfortunately next week. Oh, sorry, folks. Sorry to bump the mic. Yeah, it sucks that Volkanovski got COVID, because the fight with Brian Ortega is postponed. It's not canceled. They're going to do it. They just had to postpone it because it sucks, because last night we were supposed to have we were supposed to have Brad Riddell in the co-main event, and because of the COVID protocols, that got pulled with Gregor Gillespie. And so we were all like, oh, that sucks. And we were joking. We were like, I hate to say it, and I don't mean to throw you all under the bus, but we're like, it's always the jiu-jitsu coach. And so we were like, it's the jiu-jitsu coach says COVID. It's got to be. It's always the jiu-jitsu coach. And so anyway, we were like, well, it is. And so we were like, well, that sucks. But then later in the evening, Alexander had put, the post out that he's the one that had COVID. He said, I didn't have it. He said, when I left Australia, I was negative. When I got into the UFC bubble, I was negative. And then he tested positive. And so by protocol rules, everybody's got to be like a 10-day lockdown thing. And I feel so bad, because I think of all the quarantining the guys from Australia and New Zealand and have been doing in general anyway. And then it sucks that it gets even more, more time for them. But yeah, so they're postponing that fight. But so we do still, have Stipe and Francis. But, we announced that Corey Sandhagen, rather, is going to fight TJ Dillashaw. We have, Cody Garbrandt's going to fight Rob Font. We have, and then the other one was that Michael Chandler and Alex Oliveira for the vacant lightweight title, which is so dope. I love that fight.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's your boy, too. That's your boy.
I love me some Oliveira.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Who you got?
I mean, I would probably take him. He's on an 8-win streak, and he's got the most submissions in the UFC. I mean, listen, Chandler is so good, and I covered a few of his Bellator fights too, and he's so good. And to come out and do that to Dan Hooker, like, total respect. To me, it's just that, like, you know, Charles Oliveira used to only be like the submission guy, and then like 4 fights ago, he got hands. Do you know what I mean? And then he's got that long reach advantage. I feel like if he uses that reach. But I mean, shoot, Chandler's so good. He's so good.
Powerful.
But I mean, look, my heart would just be with Charles because I've been a fan of his for so long, and I think about all the work that he's put in. It's kind of like how my heart was with Tony before, even like I see Tony Ferguson doing all this work, and you want to see somebody like get paid off for all that work, you know. So, to me, it has nothing to do with how long Michael's been here because he earned it and deserves it, and he's legit talent worthy. I just love Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, he deserves it. He deserves all your love.
Yeah.
All right, we what are we doing with time?
We're at 45. We're at 45 minutes.
45. All right, so we got 10 minutes.
Yes.
I think we should answer some questions.
Okay, yeah. Bring them out.
All right, let's see. Karyn.
Yes.
There are some really great atomweight fighters in the organizations that just wouldn't make sense as strawweight. Do you think UFC should open up an atomweight division? This is from Yomi Kenobi.
Yomi Kenobi.
Kenobi.
The atomweights would be incredible, but I also feel like we'd be just completely poaching other organizations, and I would kind of hate that, to take everything away from one or to take everything away from Invicta. That part I don't like, and I think that it is really cool to have other organizations that can develop these divisions and be real showcases for them, whereas in the UFC, I don't know if they would just get then swallowed up by something. Also, I don't know, like if we'd have enough bodies, there are more bodies at 105 than there are at 45, I think. Maybe. I mean, it's just hard because I also do still think that we haven't given the rest of you guys enough time. Like the flies have just gotten there. Like I don't want to rush the other ones, not to tell the atomweights you have to wait so much longer, but I feel like now we have 3 like really good divisions and one that needs work. And I think that we should really focus on straw, fly, and bantam right now and like make those as awesome as possible, especially fly to me, because it was kind of pulling from the other 2 divisions. I feel like it needs some more attention on its own right now.
Yeah, I can see that, but I'm actually in favor of athletes coming to the UFC. I think that just from personal experience, when they said that they were bringing in strawweights, that made me get in the gym, that made me go to a jiu-jitsu class and made me try to find a wrestling coach, because I knew suddenly like there was an opportunity for me where I could provide for myself and not have to work like 10 other jobs just to like go after this passion that I have.
Right.
So them, like the UFC having a weight class creates jobs for so many women who might have just taken it as a hobby. They might have just thought of it as a passion that they'd never make money from, but they were just really into it, and that's why they put so much time into it. But they still have to work other jobs in order to make ends meet. So that's the only reason why I would be into the idea of bringing in 105, because I do think there's enough bodies for it. I definitely think there's more, like you said, I definitely think there's more 105ers than 145ers, and I think it would be a much more compelling weight class because, there are a bunch of dominant strawweights who could make 105. Like you have Carlos Esparza. I'm not sure about Rose. She's kind of tall.
Right. Well, we know, but Jess used to be the 105. I mean, Watterson, right. But so the question is though, then how come, I guess my point, I mean, obviously we know that the UFC is number 1 so they can make people the most money, but that's my point, is that the other organizations that do have the atomweights have the opportunity to make them a superstar division. Do you know what I mean?
They do, but they don't. Like, for instance, like, I'm not talking shit about Invicta at all. I think Invicta is the best breeding ground for female talent. Yeah. But when I was in Invicta, I did my cosplay thing before weigh-ins, and they were way more intricate in Invicta than the one that I did, like the Sagat one that I did in UFC. But the fact that it was on that platform, on that UFC
got so
platform,
much more.
many more people saw it.
Right.
And just the fact that we're on ESPN.
Yeah.
They don't have Atomweight and Bellator.
That's true.
They don't have Atomweight really on TV at all right
now.
Like, it's all streaming services or like local in Asia. So if UFC brought it in, like that, it would reach so many more people.
No, you're right. And I thought one was going to start to do some shows over here in the States too, though. Right?
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought. But no, you're right. And I'm all for job growth, and I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for it. I just know already that, like, we have 3 divisions that, like, I see star potential that we've got here, and I feel like it's already hard enough. I mean, we all know when the girls are on the card that oftentimes they're fight of the night, but, like, there's still how many times are we getting people to go, I don't want to watch a freaking chick fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like now we have some star champions, and we have just some star talent in those, and it's a great time. So I guess maybe my point maybe would just be not yet, but not a hard no, just a not yet.
Yeah, I can see that,
yeah.
But I think they're ready.
Yeah,
I think they're ready. I think there's a lot more small ladies.
Oh yes. Ladies. Oh no, there definitely are. There definitely are. Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, listen. I hope it does happen in terms of job growth and all that. I mean, that'd be great.
For sure. But big bitch division is still my ultimate goal to make happen. Big bitch division, 145 and over. Like,
the BBDs.
BBD, female heavyweight. Let's go. I think that'd be us.
Slanging and banging.
Do we have time for
50? We're at 51 right now. We got one more question. There's probably time for one more.
Do you have one?
Well, I think most of them came in on Twitter. A lot of them were about you and fight stuff. They were like, who do you want next? And like somebody had asked a question of like, when do you know you're peaking? Or like, how much better do you think you can get? And I was like, well, that's kind of a tricky question, but it is sort of interesting.
Okay. When do I know I'm peaking? Oh, like in my career?
Yeah, or like if
or in the fight camp.
Yeah, I think they just meant like, in terms of as an athlete, as a fighter, when do you know, like, this is as good as I'm going to get? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, I don't know yet.
Right, I hope you don't know.
So I think a big part of that depends on circumstance. Like, who are you training with? Who's teaching you new things? Are you respecting that person who's teaching you new things? Do you trust them?
Yeah.
Is it sticking, or are you just set in your ways? Like, for instance, when I applied to art school, got in the most prestigious art school in the country.
Good for you. Yes,
when
it's
I
awesome.
applied to art school, a lot of times students who had really, really like amazing portfolios, like just like technically really good, just they knew what they were doing. A lot of times those kids wouldn't get in because the school is like, we can't teach you anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you have to like look at your fight career in that way, like, am I learning anything right now? Am I applying that to my game? And a lot of times you'll see people come out like 3 or 4 times and they'll get hit with the same shit every fight.
Right.
Like they'll get hit with the same punch. They'll get taken down by the same takedown. Like
they just not evolving and learning.
Exactly. Every time. Not evolving and learning. So I feel like if you're evolving and learning, if your body is holding up, if your chin is holding up, then you always have something to give.
Nice.
You always have like that extra fight in you. And as soon as you're not having fun with it, as soon as you're not learning, as soon as you're like dreading going into training over and over again just because you're like, fuck, like I don't feel like doing this, like that's when you're peaked. Like that's you. Like maybe take a fight like as some stupid like freak fight, freak show fight or whatever, but like for real, like you're probably like done evolving.
Got it.
So it sucks, and I honestly feel like I'm far from there, but you do see fighters who keep fighting past that point.
Yeah.
And from the outside, you never know what's going on in camp or in their head or whether they are improving or not. But from the outside, it looks like it's time to hang the gloves up. So it's a hard thing to understand. Like, hopefully you surround yourself with people who you trust, who will tell you, who will be honest with you when it's like you're not getting better. Like we need to just like either chill out for a year and just,
or maybe you need to find something, right?
Or just stop. You know, like just be a coach, or just
right.
open up a, I don't know, a ice cream shop.
Nice.
You know?
Well, speaking of stop, we gotta stop. We're gonna run out of time. I don't want to go over time. But yes, no, it's. I think that's kind of like that in general in life, though, right? You kind of know when you got to a point where you're phoning something in, right? I mean, we all kind of know that. So it's about being honest with yourself, probably.
For sure. Phoning in is the perfect way to explain it. Like, you can't phone in a fight. You're going to get
Totally. All right, well, listen, speaking of phones, if you want to download this show, you can download us over on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Just look for What Had Happened Was. We've got playlists over there. You can check out all the rest of the shows. It's also available on my YouTube, which is at Karyn Bryant. It's on Angie Overkill's IGTV. To find me on Instagram, I'm KB Heat, but everywhere else, Karyn Bryant. Angie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Angie at Angie Overkill on Instagram and Twitter, and Overkill Hill on TikTok. It just blew up. I had a viral TikTok recently.
Nice, good for you. I have a TikTok and it's opposite of viral. It's got like baby. It has like nothing on it. I'm gonna work on it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, I'm a good dancer though.
Oh, you gotta show me some moves because I suck.
Okay. Thanks, guys. See you next time.